Hello everyone, welcome. In the previous video I talked a little about my failed attempt to fast for 36 hours. In this video I will talk a little about the food pyramid. If you like it, press the like button, comment, share the video. I want to share this information with you. Here it is. It's from Encyclopedia Britannica. Of course, a very trustworthy source of information. So they say the food pyramid is a visual representation in the shape of a pyramid of the optimal number of servings of food a person should eat daily from each basic food group. The food pyramid first evolved in Sweden in the 70s and was adapted by the United States Department of Agriculture in 1992. This department revised it in 2005 to create what it called My Pyramid, which was replaced by My Plate in 2011. Many countries across the globe have adapted versions of the food pyramid, sometimes discarding the pyramid shape altogether. Whatever form they take, such food guides are intended to help people cultivate a daily pattern of recommended and thus presumably healthy food choices. Okay, now some words about origins and evolution. The food pyramid had its origins not in recommendations for a balanced diet, but in food shortages. Interesting this. So the United States Department of Agriculture released the Basic 7 Food Guide in 1943 to help United States citizens cope with food rationing during World War II. In Sweden, in the 1970s, the National Board of Health and Welfare was tasked with tackling rising food costs. It came up with 2 food groups titled Basic and Supplementary. This was a nutritionally problematic categorization, however, because supplementary foods included fruits, vegetables, meat, and fish. Okay. So it was in this somewhat confusing context that an educator who worked for a Swedish grocery cooperative designed the food pyramid, which was published for the first time in 1974 in an issue of the cooperative's magazine. Okay, and you have here some more information for those interested. This kind of reference is very important for many people, and rightly so. Quite recently, I told a slightly overweight work colleague of mine that it would be good for him to avoid bread. He mocked me and said that bread is in the food pyramid, and he was absolutely correct. Anecdotes aside, following the updated 2025-2030 US dietary guidelines, a new food pyramid was released last January 2026. For the record, the current US administration is, in my opinion, not much more than a mad circus. Parts of this new food pyramid are the exception that proves this rule. I don't want to go into the details. That would take much more than one of my usual videos. I just want you to be curious and dig deeper by yourselves. And I also want to mention just a few crucial changes. First of all, the warning against processed foods. It's a very important warning. Please stop eating margarines and common seed oils, just to mention 2 widely consumed products. Of course, I have to get back to bread. Current bread is highly industrialized food, and forget the whole bread, that is BS. Bread is made from flour, ground stuff. There's nothing whole in there. And don't forget, many supplements are also highly industrialized and processed foods that we should use with moderation, or even eradicate from our diet altogether. Whey protein is a good example. Not only it often carries much more sugar than it should, it's also highly processed and intensively promoted by an eager industry. The other important change that I want to mention is the more relevant role played by healthy fats. This is still not sufficiently emphasized, but having olive oil, avocado, and beef closer to their due places is, in my opinion, a clear step forward. Next, you will be able to see a few images of my weight training session. Here it is. In the last video, in which I have included images of a weight training session, I included images of my last session before vacation. As I then promised, in this video I include images of one of my first weight training sessions after vacation. This was on the last day of 2025. If you watch both videos, you will easily notice the differences. These are images of a full body training session using very light weights, even for me. As I explained in one of my recent videos, it's very important to be careful about how you get back to your usual physical activity after a long period of pause. Particularly if during that pause you change not only your physical activity, but also your diet and your time zone several times. The first 2 weeks, I did 4 full body weight training sessions per week, each with 3 repetitions of 3 different circuits, each with 4 different exercises every session. One circuit for big muscle groups, one for small muscle groups, and one for the core. Each session also included, of course, stretching and light runs in the treadmill. In the next video, with images of a weight training session, I will show what I did in the following 2 weeks, after which I got back to my usual routine. So here in these images, I am still in my first circuit of this session, doing some movements for big muscle groups, like the shoulders, chest, the back, and legs, of course. As usually, I ended this session with a light 10 minutes run on the treadmill. As I said, this was the last day of the year 2025. There was not many people in the gym. This was, of course, in the morning. I always have my training sessions early in the morning. I usually do or did between 12 and 15 repetitions. This is the final circuit with exercises for the core. 2 for abs, 1 for lower back, and 1 for obliques. As I said, I always used light weights in these training sessions, but I almost had no rest between sets. Just a small pause to have some water between each repetition, or yes, between each repetition of each circuit. Remember that I combine weight training sessions with tennis training sessions. And this, as I said in a previous video, can be delicate. So this period, when I am getting back to my usual physical activity, I take that into consideration, and I listen to my body and mind a lot, not to overtrain and get injured. Okay, this is part with a few stretching movements. These jumps are not necessary, but I was trying to get into the proper position. In my case, this movement to the left, it's much harder than to the right. Okay, in the next video, I will talk a little about Peter T. Slash Epstein files case. Now, if you like what I regularly publish, subscribe to the channel and press the bell to receive all the notifications. See you soon.